incompetence, corruption and cronyism at the Labour-run authority. He also called on the government to send in commissioners to take over and run it, and for the Labour leader of the council, Steve Ealing, to resign. I'll be speaking to Councillor Ealing in a moment, but first let's get more detail of the accusations made by James Morris.
Unfortunately, Madam Deputy Speaker, in recent times, Sandwell Metropolitan Borough Council has become synonymous with local government incompetence, corruption and cronyism, and frankly has become a stain on the reputation of the area.
And so began a speech listing a catalogue of criticisms about Sandwell Council. It included an attack on the Children's Services Department, which he said had been failing for years. The MP also highlighted the misconduct case against the former deputy leader Mahbub Hussain, who was found to have breached the council's code of conduct over the sale of public toilets and trying to cancel parking tickets for family members. Mr Morris also named two other Labour councillors who he alleged were involved in fraudulent practices over a land deal, and another former councillor alleged to have been involved in what was described as misconduct in a public office.
I've spoken to residents, faith leaders, businesses and others who have given decades of service, including members of the Labour Party who have spoken to me in tears about the state of political authority and control in the Sandwell Labour Party.
He then moved on to accuse Labour's deputy leader Tom Watson, the MP for West Bromwich East, of ignoring problems right in front of him.
Right on his very doorstep, there are allegations of fraud, misconduct in public office, sexism and bullying, and he has hardly breathed a word. Of all the people who would be able to step in, call a halt to the reign of some of these councillors and make sure allegations are investigated properly, he would be the one.
Mr Morris also alleged the former leader Darren Cooper must have been aware of the problems before his sudden death in March 2016, and added that promises by the new leader, Councillor Steve Ealing, to drain the swamp at the council had not materialised and that he should go.
And I have come to the conclusion that Councillor Ealing must resign immediately as leader of Sandwell Council. Someone, Madam Deputy Speaker, has to take responsibility for the rottenness at the heart of Sandwell Council.
But one Sandwell MP did defend the authority, highlighting feedback from a recent local government association peer review, which praised the authority and said voters didn't share his dim view of the council.
If the constituents who he encounters in Rowley Regis, part of the borough that I actually live in, if they are so disillusioned with Labour, why is every one of their council representatives Labour and with substantial majorities? That's the real test of public opinion, isn't it?
Local Government Minister Rishi Sunak welcomed Mr Morris, raising the issues he says are of serious public concern.
And Councillor Steve Ealing, the leader of Sandwell Council, joins me now to respond to this stinging criticism. Councillor Ealing, incompetence, corruption and cronyism, what's your reaction to those accusations?
Well, those accusations are completely blown apart by the independent review of Sandwell Council by the Local Government Association in its peer review. They say that Sandwell Council is well run with strong governance, that myself as leader and the Chief Executive are well respected, that our budget is in an excellent position, that we've not closed any libraries, children's centres, leisure centres. They, performing a completely independent review of the council, tell a completely different story to the malicious allegations by James Morris.
But this is not necessarily a party political row. Clearly, Mr Morris thinks there is a real problem. He says he has had Labour councillors approaching him in tears. He says that he has heard from faith leaders in the area who are deeply worried about this. There are, of course, numerous reports in local papers about all these cases. Something surely has to be done. Are there issues here?
Well, I'd like to know who the Labour councillors are who are apparently being crying to him. I can't imagine who any of them are, actually. And I don't know what faith leaders or anyone else has said to him, but he certainly hasn't come to Sandwell Council with any allegations that he says have been raised with him in the community. And I have to say, I wrote to him when he announced that he got the debate in the Commons. I wrote to him on the Friday before, and asked him what this was about that he was intending to raise, and he didn't even have the courtesy to respond. So I think it is party political, actually, and I don't mind a party political battle, but if he wants to launch a broadside into us, then I'll launch one back.
So let's have a look at some of the particulars of this then, because one of the accusations that he mentioned relates to the former deputy leader Mahbub Hussain, who it was found had broken the code of conduct. When did you find out about that?
There were allegations made against a small number of people a few years ago now. It's taken hell of a long time to come through investigations and the standards process, and I have to say it's a separate issue.
But what did you personally do about it? If you found out that there was wrongdoing going on, what did you do about it?
When it was reported that there had been wrongdoing, I ensured that the standard process went ahead. The standards process has gone ahead. Inquiries were made, reports were put before the Standards Committee, and it's the Standards Committee of the Council that have found the breaches of the Code of Conduct. So far from doing nothing, we've actually brought it to a conclusion. So for James Morris to say that I should resign when I actually dealt with it, but hasn't actually called for anyone to resign who's been found to be in breach of the Code of Conduct, quite incredible, really.
But there are accusations relating to yourself as well. I mean, a lot of this criticism has happened on social media locally. There are accusations that you have attempted to use social media to retaliate against your political rivals, for people in the council that you have an axe to grind with. What do you say to that?
Well, actually, I don't use social media at all. I haven't got a single social media account. I haven't got Facebook, Twitter or a blog.
There are accusations that you tried to get other people to use it on your behalf.
Absolute dross.
So you say that all the accusations made by James Morris are essentially lies?
Well, they certainly are in relation to me. Other people have posted things on social media. All sorts of horrible stuff gets posted on social media. But nothing has been posted on social media by me because I haven't got a single social media account. Now,
whichever way you look at it, reputationally, this is damaging to Sandwell, isn't it? James Morris has said that you should consider your position. Are you doing that? Will you go? Will you resign?
Well, no, I won't. And there is actually an issue that he has misled the House of Commons in terms of what he said in the debate on Thursday. I'm writing to the Speaker to raise those issues, and I'm aware that there will be other members of Parliament who will be raising points of order about that. His conduct has been a disgrace. Let's be absolutely clear about that. If he'd got a concern, why didn't he write to me? Why didn't he respond to my email? The man is ignorant, he's a coward, he won't respond to me. He needs to be dragged back to the floor of the House of Commons and account for his poor conduct.
But there are problems at Sandwell, aren't there? I mean, your Children's Services Department is still failing, and it has been for some time.
And Sandwell has struggled across the different agencies with children's social care over the years, and there is a new social care trust coming into place in April that we have set up with the government and with other agencies, and we're looking for that to improve children's services. I'm not going to try and excuse things that haven't worked well. I'm not even going to excuse people who've not complied with the Code of Conduct. We brought them to book, and an action will be taken. But to suggest that the actions of a handful of people in an organisation of thousands drags the whole thing into the mire is really quite wrong. It's a stain on all of those other people who come to work every day and do a good job. I'll tell you, Sandwell is on the up. We're getting new investment in business, new investment in housing, all sorts of other things. James Morris, if he wants to say anything about Sandwell, should be celebrating that.
And you say that you are the man to drain the swamp because James Morris says you're not and you haven't done it.
Well, I have, and it's evidenced, isn't it? Because people have been brought to book on my watch. He's got it the wrong way round. If no one had been brought to book...
Both of you, your seats neighbour this area, huge reputational damage potentially from this. Do you think that Councillor Ealing should go, Eddie?
I think James is not a sensationalist politician. He's a very serious politician. If he's had people coming to him with concerns, then it's no surprise that he's raised them, brought them out in the public, and I'm sure that action will be taken to investigate them, and if not, I'm sure Sajid, who has proved that he's not frightened to intervene in councils, will be able to step in if necessary.
Should he go, though? Can I push you?
I think these things need to be investigated further. James, as I said, has clearly raised some valid concerns. They need to be tested.
And Khaled, should Tom Watson, Labour's deputy leader, one of the MPs in this area, be stepping in? Should we be hearing from him?
Well, no, I think all the accusations that are made are baseless. I've known Steve for over 20 years, a great local government man who's worked really hard, understands the issues, is dealing. Despite a huge amount of austerity cuts in Sandwell, they're doing a fantastic job. And when he points to children's services, you name me one council that hasn't got an issue with children's services, possibly due to lack of resources that have been cut over 30% in most local authorities. That's what the problem is. And I think what James is trying to do here is he's trying to save his own bacon, as we would say, in terms of his own seat by accusing the council and saying that, look, I'm trying to do something to his electorate, but not looking at what the Sandwell has delivered.
OK, thank you very much. And thank you, Councillor Ealing, for joining us. Now, here